Here's the case. We will be making this a private trial. Quagmire will finally face justice. The people of this fair town have all been cahoots supporting this person before the gas leak. So, today we're going to be talking about the crimes that have been committed. This was brought to light by Brian Griffin, a dog who was set on investigating Quagmire secretly without anyone knowing. Not even his best friend, the baby. Um, why is that in the notes? Why'd you want? A baby can't do anything. Baby can't talk. What? Okay, whatever. Um, yeah, that was a mistake. Did I ask you to speak? You can't interrupt the judge, Mr. Griffin. Now, okay, yeah, Griffin, blah blah blah. Yes, so Mr. Griffin decided to investigate Quagmire when Meg and Peter, who was already suffering from the um, influence of Quagmire, perhaps his own idiocy turned narcissism. Who knows? Perhaps he was always bad. The trial of Peter Griffin will be next. But we just want to get this out of the way and clear this up. Okay? So a lot of people are looking at this viral video of Quagmire roasting Brian and fail to realize the planning and intelligence of Brian Griffin. So this entire time, he had a plan to act like a douchebag in order to get Quagmire to have less victims. Basically, he would set himself up as the martyr to idiotically, stupidly, and very ineffectively scare off women so they wouldn't be manipulated by Quagmire either. Now, this was just a rough draft. Now, this plan, I don't know if he intended to do it or not, but it is somewhat foolish. But it could work, it definitely could. But before he could, plan it out or whatever, Peter driving his daughter, or was his daughter driving? I don't remember. But this was a long time ago, crashed into a radio tower, I believe, or cutting out all television from the neighborhood. Perhaps it wasn't a radio tower, whatever, conducts, allows cable to exist. So, due to that, um, essentially, Quagmire had been influencing him subconsciously by relaying that after every conversation, whispering it in a way that he didn't know Quagmire said it. He is a stupid and mentally ill man. So eventually, while driving, he had this compulsion to crash into the radio tower. And although we all thought it was an accident at the time, now we see it was truly deliberate by Quagmire's planning. And the people in the government here covered it up because Quagmire is such an essential part. Quagmire himself is going viral for that clip, but I want you all to know that he has had sex with underage girls. He did get in trouble with the law once, but he made a sob story, blah, 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 and he, you know, I can't believe we let him get away with it. Now I know why. And now I know why everyone has been acting so strange. Joe Swanson. Now, he said nice. This town has always been a bit goofy, but we have been. There was a certain charm to it, and that has been taken away by kind of very basic 90s nostalgia, like those. What is it, Boomers, I guess, or would it be Gen X? I don't know. Whatever generation, the old fashioned, their quote unquote comedy and values. It's been reduced to such Well, I mean, Peter's literally saying jokes. Anyway, so the point is it's laughable, and yeah. So point is that Crass emitted a gas that made everybody essentially lack a moral compass. It affected everyone except Quagmire, including his co-conspirators. Now, it's affected Brian most of all because he had a strong sense of smell, so it affected him more than the average person, you could say. Lois Griffin also has a large nose, so it did change her character quite a bit. Not as much as Brian, but uh, yeah. Brian, with the idea and plan in his head right before the incident, he turned into a 180. I don't recall if it happened overnight or gradually, but it happened. Most likely gradually. But at the end of the day, this idea of him being essentially a quagmire, but worse at hiding it and not subtle, so he could make women able to see the red flags, didn't really work because the women were also affected by the gas and incredibly stupid, which was not the case before the earlier seasons. If I do recall correctly, I could be wrong, but their autonomy was taken away, and they were essentially reduced to kind of stupid people who fell for this guy, you know. And yeah, so and then Quagmire has this famous speech. Of course, Quagmire is a well-known. Uh, Sadly, it is very unfortunate, and I he's part of the Gigstein's Island and the list. Right, Gigstein, as you know, is a very famous sexual predator, and has connections with various government officials, and it's very sad. Uh, they Well, you know what happens. Anyway, so what happens here is, um, well, I told you the story. Brian eventually, very recently, woke up from his haze and immediately, he woke up from his haze because the he noticed the smell of the gas. Finally, it had, and he, you know, exited it from. Hey, Brian, stop! He exited it from his nose, and then he returned to his semi-normal state. Now, the specifics of the three brains have been in the taped interview with Joe, Brian, and Quagmire, which see is the previous video. But other than that, um, we don't need to get into specifics. The point is, he contacted Joe immediately, and Quagmire, and then the interview was framed. The theory of the three consciousnesses was per person was established. For Brian, there are two. For everyone else, there are three, and the third one is the one affected by the gas. The second one is the more out there one, and the second one is going to be the one we for sure use to judge people's crimes. The third one, we're not. The third one will be third consciousness will be taken into a separate person, and they will be charged for their crimes. But that we can't charge the original person because they were under the influence of the gas and completely monstrous and out of character. Now the gas wanes, and there's no timeline, right? Wanes, it comes and goes, basically. But at the end of the day, uh, we wish for the lawyer for Quagmire to uh, plead his case, and he did before, and for some reason we let him go. I'm assuming it was all due to the gas, But considering it doesn't look good, really. I don't think you're getting out of this one this time, Mr. Quagmire. You will now be sentenced. You will be charged with conspiracy to commit terrorist acts, successful implementation of terrorist acts, bio, bio weapon, biological warfare, um, manipulation of consent with not only, uh, and all the other actions you committed before this incident. Um, you have done many heinous sex crimes. You are a rapist, as Peter said. You have no right to criticize Brian. Brian was playing you the whole time, even if you didn't know it, and he's the reason you're away. And that evil Brian will also be sentenced and put in a cell next to you, because the reason you hate him is because you are him. Secondly, all that stuff you did while before the gas incident is bad enough, but you also manipulated the entire the consent of the entire population of Quahog by creating this biohazard and emitting it. Well, I don't know if you created it, but you certainly did trick someone into emitting it. A masterful plan, Glenn. But no one sees you as the victim here anymore. We all know your true colors. Red with yellow flowers. Red is the color of the devil. Now, we hope you have a good stay in our fair prison. And Mayor Wild West, who nobody liked, is now going to be the warden of that prison. So, go ahead.